got ourselves a road show here on Sun Devil Extra yet again. We welcome you back today at Farrington Stadium, the home of Sun Devil softball. I'm Braiden Bell, and joined alongside, no, not Graham Rossini, but you know him, and I hope you love him, Doug Tammaro, the senior AD in charge of media relations. How are you, Doug?
I'm good. Good. Fun times right now. A lot going on here.
We get you on one show a year, so we're using up that ticket pretty early on, but right. I think it's a good choice, and we're excited to have you on the show today.
I do the show when I can't find anybody to do the show, so hopefully this will be the only time. But it's good to be here. It's a good time of the year to be on.
Yes, it's a very busy time. We've got plenty to talk about today, including chats with Megan Bartlett and Kaylee Pond from the Sun Devil softball team. But first, before we get into softball, we got to talk basketball. Both the men's and women's teams with huge wins last week and even last night for the men's team. But we'll start with the women's team and a massive sweep last week.
It was a lot of fun being down there. That environment was really good. It was a lot of fun. It was such a clean game. Just the competition was high. I thought we had it lost, and then we won it somehow. And it was just really cool to be courtside for that type of an environment. I think I've seen 33 men's games down there, and I've only seen a couple because I haven't been able to go down. But that was a huge win. We'll see how huge it is down the road. It could become a bigger win for us down the road. But the play, to see McKenna Brackens do what she did was absolutely wonderful. Just she put us on her shoulders, and that road win was so necessary.
Yeah, it was crucial for the resume, of course, building that resume, building that case now as March is approaching. Certainly that's something to discuss. And you mentioned McKenna Brackens. Gabby Elliott, of course, has been huge all year long. And that win in Arizona was important. The win against Utah earlier in the week was also massive as well. And so just continue to try to build that case for a strong NCAA tournament bid.
Well, I think they got a few things going for them. Number one, there's this new NCAA metric called wins above bubble. And not a lot of people are talking about it. But the actual – it's for bubble teams. And so when you look at the bubble teams, Arizona State's rating is first, second of all those teams. It's an actual rating that the NCAA published this summer and said we're using. So not a lot of people are talking about it, but I'm confident that that's going to really work in our favor. And then getting 7 road wins. We cannot finish with a losing road record. You got 7 of them. You won 5 on the road, and 5 of them are going to be top 100. And then you got, Texas Tech is sitting there at the end of the year with a chance to get another one. So I think those are in our favor. If your only metric is one bad thing, and that's the non-conference schedule ranking, I always tell people, as someone who's followed teams that are on the bubble, people say, well, they have a bad non-conference schedule. Well, that's why you're a bubble team. So, if you didn't have that, then you wouldn't be a bubble team. So every team that's on the bubble has issues.
Right.
But I think that Arizona State, if they take care of business at home, and head to the tournament in a good vibe, then they'll be okay.
Certainly hope so. And Iowa State tonight, as we're recording this on Wednesday, they'll be home against Houston, who's at the bottom of the conference. So another game that is important to win. That'll be on Saturday afternoon. Also, a shout out to Coach Miller for being on SportsCenter yesterday.
Yeah.
And you got a shout out.
Yep.
What'd you think of that?
Well, someone might say I planted it, but I did not. That whole Moy Meyer thing took off, and it's been a lot of fun. But I got to credit the University of Cincinnati, who tweeted out something that had 5 L's when we beat them, and it was hilarious and it was funny, and I'm glad we can play that game. But I kind of love it because people were talking about Molly, and that's what you want your first year coach. You want them to be relevant, and it was good to have her on SportsCenter. They reached out. We got it done quickly. So it's getting a lot of run, that's for sure.
Yeah, great exposure for not only Coach Miller, but the program and the university as a whole in terms of what they've done. Speaking of exposure for a program, men's basketball last night, a massive upset win over number 13 Texas Tech. 72-67 was the final score. Now, Texas Tech obviously just got done beating Arizona and Tucson, but they've also beaten Duke. They've beaten Houston. They've beaten BYU. A really good resume for Texas Tech, and what a marquee win for the Sun Devils.
It was so fun to watch that. I mean, first of all, it was a 9 o'clock game, and I was concerned about the crowd. Yeah. And I honestly think we had a better crowd than if the game was at 7 o'clock. It seemed like people were ready to go to that game. And then being in this league, people bring fans. Because if you're in Lubbock and you get to spend 5 days in Arizona – that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
So the vibe in that place was a lot better than I thought at 9 o'clock, and the team rose to the challenge. And, Mo was just fantastic. Pig was fantastic outside of trying a 360 alley-oop dunk.
Went viral.
It did go viral. But it was a great moment for Coach Hurley.
Yeah.
Some people actually, his post game seemed kind of low key, and it was because he knew that something was coming up with JT Toppin. And to me, that really showed something. Just after the game, Coach was loving the fact that we won. He was embracing the team. But there was a moment in the locker room where he told everybody, let's just settle down and say, if you want to pray or think, but let's think about JT Toppin for 20 seconds here.
Yeah.
And that was kind of an emotional moment. I think Coach carried that into the press conference. But he's a former player, so the first thing he had on his mind was the player. So good night, though, for Sun Devils.
Yeah, that's all class, obviously, thinking about JT Toppin, hoping he's okay. One of the best players in the country, not just in the Big 12. For men's basketball, they're at Baylor on Saturday, so that's a big game against the Bears. And then, obviously, Tuesday at TCU, so a little road trip coming up for the Sun Devil men's basketball team and trying to carry that momentum from the upset win against Texas Tech. On to our first Diamond Sport of the day. We'll talk softball in a moment, but baseball and what a hot start for the Sun Devils offensively, and the pitchings look pretty good as well. 4-0 start. They dominate UConn in the midweek and a sweep of Omaha as well, and Willie Bloomquist's squad's looking pretty good in the early going.
They're looking pretty good. Jeremy Hawks texted me, before the UConn game and said, this is a big game. They're favored to win the Big East, and then we're up 12-0. I was like
17-1 at one point.
Yeah, I was like, all right, you're making stuff up. But he reminded me, it's going to be a good win down the road. Seems like they're hitting the ball a lot. I also just get the feeling, in looking at Willie and his press conferences, I think he's got a little renewed energy. That's the guy that you want leading your program. I'm glad he's back, and I think they can do some special things this year. But they're hitting the ball, that's for sure.
Couple of stats to add to the fact that they're hitting the ball. They're 15 of 15 in terms of stolen bases. So they're also running.
Yeah.
And they've hit 10 home runs in 4 games.
Right.
So they're doing a little bit of everything. The pitching, like we said, has also been impressive so far, and they'll be at home again this weekend against St. John's Friday through Sunday, a couple of day games Saturday and Sunday as well. Staying with the theme of Omaha, we talked about them in baseball. Omaha hockey rounding out the regular season for Sun Devil hockey this weekend at Mullet Arena. Of course, we've talked with Graham a lot this year about how the wins and loss record might not be where we wanted it to be for hockey, but a chance to close out the regular season and try to pick up some wins.
I think the thing with hockey is, we got the facility, we got the coach. They hit some injuries this year. They did not get off to a good start. With Coach Powers will say, hey, let's fix that next year. But we got everything in place to be good there. So hopefully they can finish it out this weekend. NCHC tournament, you never know. I mean, hockey's not like baseball, or is kind of like baseball. You get a hot goaltender, you get the puck bounces one way too. If you get past the first round, you only have to beat teams once in the NCHC. So the key tonight this weekend is to take care of business at home and put yourself in a spot heading into the NCHC. And
you mentioned that facility, and the crowds have been great all year long, even despite the struggles at times of this program. So hopefully they'll pack out Mullet again this weekend. Friday at 7, Saturday at 5 against Omaha, and it's one of the more fun sports to watch on campus. It really is. Even if you don't follow hockey otherwise, I recommend going for sure.
It's when people go there, they come away wanting to go again.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the feel of what you want.
Well, let's talk softball now. Before we get in with head coach Megan Bartlett and Kaylee Pond, 21st now in the polls for the softball team. 10-1, that lone loss coming to Oklahoma in what was a nip and tuck game in the opening weekend. And I think the vibe around this team, Doug, just kind of watching in the early going, haven't been on the call of any of the games yet, but just watching this team, it's an exciting team to watch, and they're really balanced so far, all the way around through the lineup, through the pitching staff. It's been really impressive to watch thus far.
I think the other thing with this is everybody was kind of in a look and see and feel around the Big 12. We didn't know who. I think now we're in the Big 12. We know who the top competition is. I think there's a better feel for what we're going to do this year. And I do know that when the rankings come out, the preseason predictions, Texas Tech was up there, and Oklahoma State was up there, and we got both those teams at home this year. So I think there's an opportunity to do big things, and there's no better pitcher than Kenzie in so many ways. So the key was getting off to a good start. They're doing that. Hopefully they continue that. But I think there's a chance for some really special things. I mean, I'm so old. I remember that the team that with Jackie Vasquez that went 66-5 and won their first time. I mean, those days are over. I don't think anybody's going 66-5 anymore.
Right.
And it's a new world. When this softball team won its titles, I don't think Duke and Clemson didn't have teams. So it's a different era. So we're going to carve our niche, and I think we can do some really good things in the Big 12 and try to host a regional and go from there.
And you've got a fourth-year coach that's kind of gotten this program going now in Coach Bartlett. And it seems like there's tangible momentum around this program this year.
Definitely.
Pretty cool to see. And we want to hear from her as well as Kaylee Pond with the Impact Transfers. So when we come back, head coach Megan Bartlett will be in the stool. Doug will be out for a moment. We'll get him back for segment number 4 when we return on Sun Devil Extra. Back here on Sun Devil Extra from Farrington Stadium, talking Sun Devil softball. And who better to talk this red-hot 10-1 team than head coach Megan Bartlett in her 4th year as head coach. Coach, how are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you.
So this start, 10-1, a national ranking, things playing out very well. Of course, being able to play at Farrington 3 weekends in a row surely helps with that. But what's impressed you most with the start from your squad?
Ooh, a lot of depth. So a lot of different weapons. We've had to move a lot of people around defensively. Different people have stepped up at the plate. This lineup is tough for people to prepare for because there's so many different hitters that can beat you. So it's been really cool to watch it come together. We got healthy, we got some depth, and we're kind of off to the races.
I want to ask you about that lineup. We've seen the power really step up early in this year, really 1 through 9. So I want to get kind of a flip answer here. If you were taking on a lineup like this, and you had to look at that lineup as deep and as talented as they are, how would you try to handle that? It can't be easy for opponents.
Ooh, you're kind of picking your poison a little bit. And hope you come up, a little lucky, like maybe we lined out somewhere. Sharp ground ball got hit right at somebody because, a lot of power. We have a little bit of speed and some great barrel control. Yeah, Coach Bloomer does a tremendous job with the hitters, so it's not an easy one to prep for.
Doesn't seem like it, and the numbers would suggest that. Then, of course, you have a Kinsey Brown, which never is a bad thing to have an All-American in the circle. And I'm just curious about what she brings to the table. Obviously, we see her performances day in and day out in the circle, but what she brings to this program in other ways. What's Kinsey like off the field or in terms of leadership she can bring to the rest of the pitching arm?
Yeah, she's a fun one because her personality she's a little goofy. And she's fun, and she's a great teammate, and she's sweet, and everyone really enjoys her. But I think she's so much a part of the lifeblood of the program. She is gritty, and she is tough, and she sacrifices to be really, really great at her craft. And so certainly she's a leader by example for us. Everybody looks to her, and she's pretty much a dream to coach. So no complaints here.
And I think she's a dream to watch for much of Sun Devil Nation as well. Coach, we were out here last year before the season, and there were some positive vibes. Obviously, it was a good year, but it seems like you guys are taking that next step, at least so far this season. And a lot of that is due to that depth that you mentioned, attacking in the transfer portal, also just getting some more experience all around. In terms of this year's roster, and when you were assessing it into the offseason and into this spring, what were some of those areas that you were really trying to capitalize on, and what are those returns you've seen so far?
We knew when we left last season, we had some really talented young ones that probably had to take on a bigger role than, we would have probably liked early on, but they did a tremendous job. We went to the portal, I think got some veteran experience that had already been in big games, and they had already been in regional matchups and super regional matchups. The Kaylee Pond, Emily Shep, Ryan Brown had been to the World Series, 2 times already with 2 different teams. So iron certainly sharpens iron, but I think there's to be able to attract the level of talent that's already been in those big moments and kind of work through the growing pains. And now it was time to just show up, show out, and kind of fill some, really crucial places on the defense that we needed them. Kaylee Pond is a tremendous field general. I mean, she is. That kid's understanding of space and time and how to assess the speed of runners to make sure that we're the most efficient we can be in the outfield has been really tremendous. Emily Shep has just stepped up so big at the plate, which makes me so happy. She is a tremendous power hitter, but the really interesting part about Shep, her barrel control is so good. She can execute plans, she can hunt at the plate, and I think really she's made a lot of our hitters better because they watch that, and they kind of have started to pay attention to the conversation she and Coach Bloom are having off to the side, and they have, of course, worked together at the previous stop. So it's just been a really cool thing to watch come together, but that was pretty much what we knew we needed. We needed Aisa Silva. We needed a little bit more depth on the mound. She's a veteran. She won, 20 plus games. Her sophomore year, that last year in the pack, she led the pack in wins. So that was another one that just knew how to turn up when the lights turned on. And that's really kind of what we needed. We had that good young talent. We just needed a little bit more leadership on field.
Got some gamers, right?
We did.
That never
we
hurts.
did.
I'm curious, you've been around this game for a long time. And so as a coach, obviously you can teach, you can try to motivate, you can do all those things. But when you have that coming from a player, right? As you just mentioned, those players that you brought in that have had that championship experience or played in those big games, how valuable is that coming from a voice in the clubhouse as well?
What it does is I think just speeds the process along. Like it lets you go from a team that okay, last year was the turnaround team. People always ask, what was that big difference between year 2 and year 3? We just got healthy and we got some more personnel back on the field. And now with that influx of kind of veteran talent that's really hungry, I think you're able to kind of just speed the process up, and hopefully it's a World Series team. And we're in Oklahoma City in June, and we certainly have the talent to do that. And now we have a little bit of that kind of belief and know-how, I think, to get there.
You mentioned a veteran presence who's hungry and performing, and she's going to join us right after you. That's Kaylee Pond. 4 home runs in the first 11 games, showing off the power. She's the field general in center field. So valuable to this squad, it seems like. I'm curious just the kind of leader she is. You mentioned defensively being that, field general, but overall, what does she bring to the table? Oh,
goodness. She's the gym rat. She's the kid that we literally at points have to drag out of the cage. She's so funny. She calls herself a professional softballer. She's like, that's what I came here to do. I wanted a shot at Oklahoma City, and I felt like this staff and this pitching staff was going to give us the best shot, and that's why she chose ASU. So she has certainly not taken her foot off the gas the whole year she's been here. And it's just been really kind of easy to have her in the clubhouse because she's such a likable kid, and she's smart, and she's engaged, and she's got a really high game IQ. But it's pretty easy when you have a bunch of young hitters that I'm like, just go do what she does. Keep up with her, right? She's in the cage. Were you in the cage this week? Because I have to drag that kid out of the cage. And then it's like, oh, they're starting to understand, I think, the intensity and the work ethic and just the level of commitment it takes to be really outstanding at this level.
You mentioned the reason why she came is wanting to reach OKC. And I know that's one of the big motivating factors for anyone in college softball, but specifically here.
Yeah.
Given the history, and I know that's something that you've talked about, wanting to get this program back, and you guys are seeming like you're really, really having potential to do that this year. How often do you guys think about that ultimate goal? I know coaches in every sport, it's day by day, and I understand that, but that ultimate goal, to get this program back to OKC, how much is it thought about?
I think it's something the kids, it does come up a lot, and they're now at this place where they believe we're capable. It'll come up in just general conversation, this and that. When we get to Oklahoma City, there's no if anymore. It's just when it's going to happen, which that's a real thing. I have been a part of programs that have done that, and kind of taken a hiatus, but to get back to that place, it starts with belief. If you don't believe you're capable, no shot. But it's certainly on the day-to-day, we are really a process-oriented staff. And try to get the kids to be really present and make pitch-to-pitch adjustments. And, we don't really look past the next game, but I do think it's at the core of the belief system.
It's important to have those goals down the line, and certainly you guys are off to that hot start. Like I said, 10-1 in a very busy weekend to come, of course, with the Sun Devil Classic, a couple of games against Michigan, a couple of games against New Mexico State, Southern Utah as well. I guess just it is such a luxury to host these tournaments, and it's a rarity that we're used to here at ASU. But 3 weekends in a row, you have so many different schools traveling through here. You got big names like Northwestern, Michigan, of course, Oklahoma. What's it like to be the head coach of a program like this and have these tournaments in your backyard?
It's a dream come true. It's a blessing. To think a small town Indiana girl and now, my career's kind of transpired in the way it's been, and I work for incredible people that, as much as I think the softball resume, what I brought to the table on that end, it was such a wonderful fit of what they were looking for at the right time, in leadership and in character. So I'm really, really blessed. I have some of the best bosses in the world, honestly. Graham Rossini has been just, I think, tremendous and visionary for the department. Marcus Williams is as good as they come for sport ADs. Like Ken Lanfear is actually in the background. He just rolled into practice today, who was actually my sport AD when I got hired here, and is just still a wonderful mentor and friend. So certainly we have so much to be grateful for at Arizona State, but truly I think the best part is the people.
You mentioned the people. It's a perfect segue into my last question for you.
Well, you're welcome.
Yeah, so you're a pro. The women's sports programs here at ASU have had great success year after year, but especially this year. And one of the big new names, and I know you get along with her well, Molly Miller.
Yes.
Her squad obviously having a phenomenal year in her first year at the helm of women's basketball. You guys were at the U of A game doing a little bit of a promotion before the season got going. What's the relationship like with Coach Miller? I know that both of your programs having a lot of success, and you're right next door at the Weatherup Center as well.
Yes. Molly's become a good friend, and she's tremendous. And I think it's so interesting, her and I, because I believe she's a Midwest girl too, right? So we grew up, and I think there's just a lot of similar values. How we built our staff and the way we built our staff was really similar, which came to find out many months later as we've all spent a bunch of time together. But yeah, she's dynamic and she's feisty, but at the core of it, she's a really good human. She's a good mom. She's a good wife, and people gravitate to her. So I couldn't be happier for them and wish them a ton of success as they head into March Madness. But it has been really fun to just get to know her and get to bounce ideas and, just continue to elevate the women's presence at Arizona State.
I never want to put words in Coach Miller's mouth, but I would have to imagine she would echo the exact same words you said to her back at you in your program as well. And certainly you guys have been a lot of fun to watch in the early going. 10-1 to start. I know a long ways to go, but the goal, like we said, OKC, and it's a matter of when, not if, for this program. Coach, thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Brendan. Appreciate you. Awesome.
Back here on Sun Devil Extra at Farrington Stadium, Braiden Bell joined alongside the center fielder for the Sun Devil softball team, number 42, Kaylee Pond. How are you, Kaylee?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, no, thanks for joining us. What an exciting start to the year for you and your team. Obviously a 10-1 start. We just talked to your coach in the last segment, but let's give you a shout out. Your stats so far: 379 average, 4 home runs, 12 RBIs, and on-base percentage of 526. And I know for you and every player in a team sport, the win-loss is the one that matters in a 10-1 start. What's been the most fun thing about the start for your team?
Yeah, I mean, overall, just the growth that we've had from weekend 1 to weekend 2. First weekend, I want to say pitchers definitely had our backs, right? We were trying to figure out the lineup, kind of get some chemistry on that realm. But second weekend, some adjustments with the bats. It obviously felt like a more cohesive team win, and it was nice for us to be able to have the pitchers' backs. So I'm just excited to see where that leads us into week 3.
Well, you said that. Into week 3, here we go with the Sun Devil Classic. You're a graduate student, 6th-year player, so you've been around this game long enough. How rare is it and how helpful is it to have a team that can get it done, whether it's in the circle, whether it's with the lineup? It's a versatile group, it seems like you guys have.
Oh, yeah, 100%. When I was entering the portal, I definitely wanted to go to a school with a presence in the circle. That's the one area I cannot help people with. So obviously that's what attracted me to ASU, and it's nice being on the other side of it, right? To see the strikeouts happen like for other teams and not having to be the one that's always facing them.
Well, being in center field, you get a pretty good view of those strikeouts. You get to see some of the great pitches that Kinsey Brown throws. But in terms of your position, being a field general, it's the term that Coach just described you as out in center field. What's your favorite part about playing out there? It's almost like the quarterback of the outfield, it seems.
Yeah, I mean, you get the best view. Last year I was in left field. You know, you can only argue balls and strikes so much or like hype them up so much. Center, you get a perfect view. And it's funny, she always says field general. People are like, how do you like keep talking so much? And it's like, it takes more energy for me to not talk at times, I would say.
Me too.
Yeah,
Yep.
So it's kind of like, it's just naturally like, and I mean, you see the pitchers throwing with such passion and putting their bodies on the line, everyone on the team. It's like hard for me to not show support and stuff. So yeah, they make it fun to play behind.
You're from the Bay originally, out here in the desert now, although today, as we're recording this, it's a little chilly. But you get the benefits of a beautiful experience here in Arizona. The other thing to know about you, number 42, which obviously is a special number here at Arizona State and across baseball and softball in general. We were chatting before we were recording, just full disclosure. Been wearing 42 for a long time, I understand. But the significance here at ASU, I understand that's something you picked up on pretty early. How cool is it to be able to wear that number here?
Yeah, I mean, it's just honestly a blessing, and it's such an honor. When I was on the visit, we have Pat Tillman Tunnel right outside the locker room, and I was there, and I mean, just hearing Coach B talk about the story and everything, I mean, just being able to wear it is such an honor. I definitely want to say that, like, I didn't know if I was going to get it, and I understood if I wasn't going to be able to, right? I know some sports have the number retired, and when Coach B said I was going to be able to, I understood that, you know, eyes are going to be on you, right? I'm a 6-year just walking in and wearing 42. I hope that I'm wearing it well.
Well, I'd say 4 home runs in your first 11 games. You're wearing it well so far, to say the very least. You know, coming over to a program like this and playing at a stadium like Farrington, where you have all the College World Series banners, you've got the national championship banners that you look at every single day, or every single AB when you're in the box. I understand that was something that was important to you, to be around a program that, first off, has been there before, but second off, that you think you could win at in your final year of college softball.
Yeah.
How big of a factor was that after all?
Oh, 100%. I mean, it was everything, right? I wanted to help a team get to OKC. That's the goal, right? I'm just not a 6-year for anything. I feel like I still have something to prove, and that's the one part of my college journey I've yet to be able to accomplish is OKC, right? And so I wanted to help a team win, and I feel like we're off to a good start here at ASU.
Your story goes well beyond just a number and your stats so far. Obviously, it has been a winding road that has taken you from Iowa State to Cal, back home, and now out here to the desert, so 3 different stops in your college career. And you've also had to battle through a number of injuries, 4 knee surgeries. So I'm curious, Kaylee, not really necessarily what you went through, but advice you'd give to others, because unfortunately injuries are part of life for an athlete. The rehabbing and the mental side of that. What are some of the things that you would give in terms of advice to others that are having to deal with getting through those struggles?
Yeah, I mean, I would say it's at first, the first time, right? It's such a humbling experience, and it's really easy to get in that state of why me? Why is this happening? During those times, I realized that through adversity, that's where you grow, and you honestly gain a different level of appreciation for the game and a different perspective. Like, I play every game like it's my last, and I don't know if I'd be able to do that without knee surgeries. So anyone who's experiencing it, I mean, 3 ACL surgeries, that's not common, and I hear girls getting injuries at 13 years old and stuff, and it just breaks my heart. But I just want to say that in those moments, you have to realize, like, you got to play for yourself, and you know, no one can tell you when it's time to hang up the cleats. And I take pride in that, and I hope that others, you know, focus on that when they're coming back from their injuries.
That's awesome, and it's got to be inspiring to so many young athletes that are watching this, certainly having to battle through whatever they are currently dealing with or eventually down the line. Of course, injuries are something that come up, but it shows that you can overcome those injuries in the case of what you're doing so far this year. Last one for you. Being a winner and wanting to succeed so badly here. Obviously, it's been a good start with the 10-1 season, but a long way to go. College softball season is a long, long season. How high is the ceiling for this group? How good do you think you guys can really be? I
mean, again, the goal is OKC, right? And that's, you know, we had individual goals, and I was telling Coach I'm struggling with my individual goals because my only sole goal is to help this team get to OKC, right? He's like, no, you kind of got to, you know, create your individual goals to help the team get there. But, I mean, I feel like there isn't a ceiling, right? I mean, we have such a presence in the circle. We have our defense is, like, moving, like, it almost feels like water, like we're gelling so well, and now that the bats are lining up too, I mean, we just have Michigan next, right? That's the next task at hand, and we just want to keep stacking wins.
Sun Devil Classic, as we said, 2 games against Michigan, New Mexico State, and Southern Utah as well coming in this weekend. Whole lot of action here at Farrington Stadium. Kaylee Pond's been fun to watch, as has this entire Sun Devil softball team. Kaylee, thanks for joining us.
Perfect. Thank you guys for having me.
We'll be right back.
Thanks.
Just like that, we're back here on Sun Devil Extra. Braiden Bell rejoined by Doug Tammaro, who's filling in for Graham Rossini today. Big shout out to the softball program again for first off welcoming us at their lovely home today, and also for sitting down with us and chatting. Some sports to update you on, some scoreboard updates, if you will. Very busy time, of course, with the seasons in the winter coming to a close. Spring season's fully underway right now. Men's tennis has been one of the really nice surprises, if you will, around campus so far this year. 10-3 on the year, and they competed in the ITA Indoor Championships. You'll remember talking about that a couple of weeks ago on the show, the importance of that. They took down number 16 Clemson on a weekend where they went 1-2, but I think even more importantly than the record, it was about getting that experience against some of the top programs in the country, competing in Dallas over the weekend. So congratulations to the men's tennis program for competing in that very prestigious tournament. And women's tennis, a massive comeback win. It lasted 4 hours. They beat number 15 Pepperdine on the road. It was the first win for the program there in Malibu since 2002.
Yeah, and if you beat Pepperdine in women's tennis, then you're doing good things.
Yes.
And I've been told by a reliable source that we have a really good team. She thinks we're top 10. I won't tell you who that is, but she used to coach here for 40 years.
Wow.
So
starts with an S?
Yeah, it starts with an S.
Okay.
She's really high on this team, and she's really proud of the team because, Coach Mack, okay, we'll unveil her.
Sources are just ruined.
She's just excited because she really loves Coach Jackson, and she's just proud that this program keeps going because she's not one of those coaches. There's some people out there when they move on, I don't want to be that good. And she would like nothing more than to see the program go better than even then she had it. So it was good talking to her. We caught up on some other things that happened this week, and it's the first thing she brought up is how she thinks there's going to be a special team.
That's awesome. Coach Jackson also, one of the more happy-go-lucky people you'll ever encounter. No matter when you see her, she's got a smile on her face.
Yeah, she's awesome. I was a fantastic hire, really was, because that was not easy to replace a legend.
Oh.
And you kept the legend happy, and everybody's in a good spot.
Yeah, and they're winning, and that's also impressive.
Yeah, that's impressive.
As we said, taking down Pepperdine is no easy task in women's tennis. A couple other sports to get to before we let you go. Wrestling, their regular season finale is at home against Lehigh. That will be on Saturday, so of course wanting to close out the year with wrestling. And a couple of fun stories regarding the wrestling program. Of course, we've talked about the Larkin boys at length so far this year and the success they've had. But David Zuba, who is a friend of the program, of course, joined us a couple of months ago before the start of the season. He had a nice little profile piece on Fox.
Yes, Fox, All Access piece did they did a great piece on him and his family. Blake Neiman is one of the best storytellers out there, and we're so happy to have him as an ASU alum telling our stories. So you definitely want to tune into that one for sure. One other thing to note about the wrestling is it's at 7 o'clock Saturday.
Yep.
Well, there's a basketball game at 2. So you're going to have Mark Gorski crew with Matthew Chismar and that gang. The final, if they're in overtime, we got problems, so we need to win fast. But they're going to flip that court Saturday into a wrestling venue in a couple hours. So that's kind of shows you how much is going on.
Yeah, it is one of the, if not the most busy weekends of the entire year.
February in general is just out of control, but this weekend's really busy.
Yeah, and that's a great point. Shout out to that team right there, putting the events together, and hopefully not very many fouls in the women's basketball game. No overtime, of course. You definitely don't want that. Let's keep it moving. So that is
Molly
something.
called a lot of timeouts at the end of the Utah game.
Yeah.
And I told her after, we got things to do. You don't need to call all those. Just because you have 4 or 5 of them doesn't mean you need to use them all. So
right.
We need to keep this one moving Saturday.
Oh, Coach Mill, if you're watching, Doug has a message for you. Beach volleyball opens up the season at the GCU tournament across town. 4 matches over the course of the weekend, so good luck to Coach Glatfelter and that program, who's expected to be pretty good in the Big 12 beach volleyball landscape. TCU, of course, the defending national champions in that sport in the conference. But it's fun when beach volleyball gets going.
They, there should be a tournament team this year.
Yeah.
So that's a program that, they've invested pretty well in. Got the good facility over here, so it'd be fun to watch them go.
Yeah, they're right beyond right field.
They're where the home runs used to go.
That's right.
When they first put in the sport, they didn't think of that. So you almost had our team getting hit in the head with softballs, but they've adjusted. There's a big net there.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, the net was a good idea.
Yeah,
Probably,
it's a good idea.
Probably should have happened a little earlier, but better late than never. Last one, lacrosse as well. They opened their home schedule last weekend, a loss against a ranked Denver squad, but they'll look to bounce back again at home on Saturday. It's a noon start against Lindenwood. So again, going back to your point of just how busy this weekend is, lacrosse is in action. Of course, softball, not volleyball, will be playing right here that whole weekend as well. So good luck to lacrosse as they play their second home game of the year as well. Now on to our final subject of the day, and Graham's going to have his favorite segment kidnapped for a moment here by Mr. Doug Tammaro. It's Sun Devil for Life of the Week, where we list our a Sun Devil encounter we may have had throughout the week, someone that we love, a former Sun Devil or alum. Do you have one for us?
I got one.
Okay.
Cody Justice.
I love it.
You know, Cody's been playing overseas for 7 years, and we stay in touch a lot. It was so good to see him at the game the other night. I think one story on Cody that people we picked it up his senior year, of course, that magical year. He did a Q&A in the summer, and it was like 42 questions with Cody Justice or something like that. And at the bottom of it, it's one thing that you want people to know that they don't know about you. And he said, I'm dyslexic. And, when you read that, you okay, Cody, this is going to be out there. Do you want? And he embraced it at that time. So he really, his senior year, he did some things with that. And, he overcame that. He gave us some of the best memories ever, including a still photo that was really big in our history.
If you follow Doug, you know what he's talking about. Yep.
But it was just great to see him. He was at the game, and he could share it. He talked to the team before the game.
Oh wow.
He talked to the team, and he knows the year is not going as great as some people want, but he's there to support us, and he's a local kid. Everybody talks like you got to keep him home. I remember when Cody could have transferred, but he trusted Bobby, and as a result, he got to put it on Kansas in Lawrence. So that was such a fun team to be around.
Ranked as high as number 3.
Yeah.
Pretty magical.
I don't know if Arizona State basketball will ever reach number 3 again. I mean, if we do, I'll be the first one to say, wow, that's impressive. But I'll never forget going to Tucson that night. It was the end of December, and Villanova had lost, and I believe Duke had lost. And so we were number 2. We were going to bounce to 1 if we had won. And that's one of those years like, why couldn't we be playing somebody bad at home that night? And but the feeling to go into McHale Center and have that team walk in, and Sean Miller was like, these guys are so good. And it was one of the top games we played that year. Like we could not have played better. I think Trey had 30-some.
It was a great game. Back and forth,
but we got DeAndre Ayton, with a late tip. And I remember Shannon Evans tried to dunk over him, so maybe we could have had that play back. But Cody was a big part of that memory that year. It was a lot of fun.
Well, I'll tell you this. In the TV business, you sometimes get cues that it might be time to end. You're getting like a little sunshine between your face. So I think that's our cue.
Okay.
But big thanks for joining us today,
My
Doug.
pleasure.
Very fun. We'll talk to you next year because we used up our allotment. But a great job by you for filling in for Doug, and a big thank you as well to the softball program again for joining us. They'll be at home all weekend long, and as we've talked about all show long, if you want to watch Sun Devil sports this weekend, you've got so many opportunities.
A lot of chances.
So many opportunities. That's it for this week's show. We'll talk to you next week.